Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting review impressions of a knife that was given to the Apex group from Civivi. And I really want to say a big shout out and thank you to Civivi for allowing us to check this knife out. This is the Civivi Foldis, and this is a double detent slip joint. I've never had a double detent knife before to handle, so this is a first for me, and I'm super excited to be checking this out and to be reviewing this knife. I think it's super cool. So this is my review impressions. I believe this is a flat grind. I almost for a second thought I saw a reflection like it might have been hollow ground, but I think it's flat ground. But this is a slip joint and it's double detent. And what that means is the detent is what you pass to open it, and then there's a detent that you go past to close it. So it's a detent ball here and then a detent ball here, right? So detent is what keeps it closed and a detent is what keeps it open. Now that means that, like any slip joint, you can't really put pressure on the blade here or it's going to come down and cut your hand. But it doesn't do the walk and talk like a typical knife. It'll come up here and lock in place just like a typical detent. So real quick, it is an in-house design by Civivi. This is a really great budget knife. I think it's Nitro-V is a blade steel. Let's see, does it say on there? I think it does. Oh, okay. Oh, so this is the O-stop Hell design. Oh, so O-stop Hell design. Let's see if we can see that. Can you get the focus in there? O-stop Hell design, which is really cool. I like the design. When it closes, the blade is completely almost gone. It's got a beautiful top flipper. You can call it, it's not really a front flipper. I mean, I guess you could do, because I'm not really front flipping, it's more like a regular flipper or top flipper. So you could do a regular flipper like this to flip it, right? Or you can just do a top flipper like this. So I can just kind of go over the top. But it's best, I think, to come from the reach around. It works really nicely for that. And the Nitro-V steel is really nice. You know, it's good budget steel for what you get. This beautiful black G10, nicely textured with some nice design. A wired deep pocket carry clip, which obviously gives you very deep carry. Reversible, so left and right hand. And because it's ambidextrous, I mean, this works exactly the same way lefty or righty. And especially if you reverse the clip, then you have the little grip you can do over here as a lefty, and it works really nicely. Now, you think, okay, if you're holding this, what's to stop it from going down? Well, there's a little part of the blade is right there. So when you put your hand in there, it will dig into your hand. So hopefully between this hand and this hand, you're not going to roll it into your hand if you're cutting, right? So if you hit it, it's not going to come and chop your finger. You don't want to do that. But as with any slip joint, you know, that has that sort of walk and talk or double detent, you've got to be careful. It's not going to lock the blade in place. And if you're looking for a knife that locks the blade in place, then maybe a double detent slip joint or a slip joint is just not for you, right? I'm not a big slip joint fan personally. I don't really dig them. They're not my cup of tea, and that's okay. You don't have to. You know, if you love slip joints, there are people who love slip joints, and I get it, and I respect it, and I think it's awesome. And there's some of us who it's not our cup of tea, just like there's some people who love fixed blades, and fixed blades are their cup of tea. I'm not a big fixed blade fan. I have a fixed blade. I have two. One's a Safe Queen, it's my dad's, and the other one is the one fixed blade that I really like from, you know, Tactile Knife Company, the Dread-Eye. So, but this right here is really cool. If I was going to get a slip joint, if I wanted something small, discreet, let's say I went somewhere where I couldn't have a locking knife, you know, this would be a really nice little knife to have. You're in England, I know there's some legality there, and I know I'm sure some cities have some weird laws. There's all that. So I do like that. It is black, stone washed kind of finish on the knife. It's got some nice jimping on top, so you definitely have some good traction up here. But it's not kind of traction I'd want to use, because you see it tends to want to close it. It's more as you're, I think, cutting this way and pushing. But if you're pushing and you cut, and then once you make it through the cut, you got to be careful because you don't want to cut yourself, right? So again, you got to be careful with slip joints, especially a double detent. It's different, right? It's just something you have to be aware of. And that's what the locking mechanism works. That's how it does it. And so if you're okay with that and you know how to handle that, then this can be a lot of fun. For me, this would be a great little, like, cut some apples, you know, some fruit, you know, cut some letters open sort of thing. Maybe cut some boxes if I'm going to be cutting them like that. See, you see that? Even like that, it's easy to lose the grip. That's why I would never want it to do it like that, because you can see it suddenly closes. And so you wouldn't want to do this. You see where you close that, you could easily go down on your fingers. So if I was ever to do that, it would be something like that, so that my fingers are free and clear. But that's just me, because I like locking knives. You know, like I have my Sharp Eye design here. It locks in with a frame lock. This is actually a bolster lock because it's behind the inlay here. And so for me, it's locked in place. I'm not going to worry about that breaking and coming free when I'm cutting something. So for me, that's something that I enjoy and I appreciate. But I really, really, really appreciate Civivi allowing me to check this out, because I know there's going to be a lot of people who love this. Excuse me. And I know that some of my subscribers would love to see my impression about it. And my impression is, if I'm looking for something like this, I think it's really well made. It really is. There's a lot of positives about this. The quality of this is nice. The aesthetics is really well centered. Everything is dead on. The double detent works really, really nicely. It flips absolutely excellently. The detent locks closed and locks open really wonderfully. The blade is nice. It's a nice consistent drop point. I love that about the blade. It's nice and almost full flat grind all the way to the top, barely up to the top. You can see just barely, but it is a single over the top kind of deployment, which is fine for me. I think it's great. I like the wire clips, definitely gonna be a nice deep carry clip. So all that material works well. Rounded around the corners for the G10, steel liners, right? Which is where the detent engages in against the ball. So it's gonna engage against, I don't know if we can see them in there, but there'll be the detent balls that'll be in there and it'll gauge when it's here. Yeah, so there's an engagement there. And then there's gonna be another engagement there. So that's when the I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I can't take it apart because this is a loaner, but I'm kind of curious, you know, it feels like it would be like a couple of bars inside or something that's causing the pressure where it would engage in. So it's got to feel like that. But I think that's really cool. So the materials I like the steel wire clips for the cost point. I mean, we're looking at a $60, $59.75 knife. And if you go to White Mountain Knives when it's available, you can even use my code RNK10, get 10% off, right? And check it out at other places. Blade Ops would be a great place. GP Knives, recommend those. I have some affiliate links down below if you want to check those out. I'd appreciate it. But really, really cool as far as materials. I love the grip. I have medium, large hands, so I get a full grip on there. I can actually get my hands around there. You get up to extra large, double extra large, you're definitely going to be, I think extra large, you're going to be over here close to the edge. Double extra large, you've got 3-finger, probably a little edge right there, you know. But again, if you're looking for a slip joint type of thing where you can only carry a slip joint or something, this would be a nice knife to have. If you just want to cut some apples, you know, open some letters, some envelopes, it works well. It doesn't open, you don't have the nail nick to get it open, so it's definitely going to be only a over the top kind of top flipper. So that is limited to that, but it works really, really well. I mean, it's next to impossible. All you gotta do is put your finger on there and then just push down and it opens. I mean, you don't have to think about it. Just tell someone, put your finger on there and then push down, like push down and go down and it opens. It works. It's you know, like Idiot's Guide to Top Flipping. This is what I would need it the first time I learned how to top flip. If I had a knife like this, I go, oh, that's how it's supposed to work. Oh, that makes sense. Because this will help you do it right. But the double detent, you got to keep that in mind. All right. And we talked about how it locks, it closes with the detent balls. We talked about, you know, there's no cutaway. There's nothing we have to worry about. It's just going to be the top flipper, and then it's going to be just a pressure. And if you do that, you can put your finger here to do that, or obviously you can close it like you would a slip joint. So you can close it open like that, and then you can close it like that if you want to be careful about your fingers, right? So, all right, let's do some measurements on this guy. It's a little one. It's not a big knife. Kind of what you expect with a slip joint, right? So we're looking at 2.12 ounces, so it's very, very light. It's a very, very light knife. All right, let's look at the lengths and measurements on this guy. The ratios are going to be good, I think. All right, so we're looking at a knife that's 6 1/4 inches, maybe 6 3/8 of an inch long, pretty short. Looking at the blade length, going back to where the base of the handle is, we're probably right at 2 5/8 of an inch. Excuse me, guys, 2 5/8 of an inch. We're looking at the cutting length. We are probably right at 2.5 inches of cutting length. So 2.12 ounces. The ratios are very much in favor of the knife. Right, looking at the handle grip where we can go up and choke up very comfortably with about 3.5 inches of grip. You could probably choke up a little past that, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would be further back just to make sure I'm clear of the blade. But yeah, pretty nice, right? So there you go. And so not a bad knife at all. Now, in order to measure the blade stock thickness, I don't know if I can reach down there with the calibers. Let's see if we can get in there with the tips. All right, let's see if I can reach in there. Can I get those? All right, so we're at, I don't know if you can see that. So, yeah, let me go ahead and pull it out. So we're at 0.105 inches, or 105 hundredths of an inch, 106 hundredths of an inch, 105, 106 hundredths of an inch, right? So it's a pretty thin blade, very, very thin blade. It's definitely going to be a slicer. Comes a very thin edge, you can see that. So it worked well. Cutting paper, letters, envelopes, small boxes, you know, nothing major, super hard to cut. I wouldn't cut thick, heavy cardboard, wouldn't do any sort of heavy duty cutting with this knife. I would not be comfortable with that because of the double detent. I'm never comfortable with that with a slip joint or detent. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a slip joint detent fan. I get it. I know people love it, and I know there's a way to deal with it. It's just, it's not for me, right? Just not my cup of tea, you know, and that's okay. You know, everyone has their own cup of tea, right? And that's all right. We have different knives we like, and that's the joy of this knife community. There's so many things out there and so many options for us to enjoy. But I will tell you, I really do like this design. I think it's really neat. All right, so let's talk about it a little bit. We talked about blade thickness, knife category. This is absolutely a budget knife. It's $59.75 or about 60 bucks. You know, go in RNK, go to White Mountain Knives and use RNK 10. You get 10% off of that. So, you know, we're getting close to almost a $50 knife. You know, maybe $53, $54 knife. That's definitely a budget knife. I think it's a great deal for a double detent slip joint. I think you would really can't go wrong with that. And the quality of this, the execution is fantastic. G10 blacked out, really nice, very discreet. I like everything about this. So there you go. Purpose, I think it'd be great EDC. It's a light use. I would never use this as a hard use. I would never be out cutting logs, wood, anything heavy duty, heavy cardboard. I wouldn't be doing any of that. This would be a very light duty, cutting some apples, some fruit, maybe some very small boxes, letters and stuff like that. And I would always be cautious in how I use this, and be cautious in and when I use this and how I use it, right? And be careful with the pressure on the back of the blade. This jimping to me is misleading, because a lot of times people are going to look at the jimping and they think they can push out there and push. And you can see you could easily go down on your hand because of that jimping, and I wouldn't want people to be misled by that. So to me, that's got to be careful about that. You know, I get it. It's there for traction, perhaps, you know, maybe you're doing more of a push. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the logic there. That to me is, I wish they didn't have the jimping there. Wish the jimping was further back and it wouldn't go out that far, because I can see someone maybe borrowing the knife and thinking, oh, I can go out there and push, and then boom, then just cut their fingers. So you got to be careful about that. Ergos and feel handle design. I think the handle design for this knife is fantastic. It's beautifully rounded, chamfered all the way around. I think that's wonderful. I think they did an outstanding job on that. Very pleased about that. I think that's really nice. As far as deployment designs, that top flipper works really nicely. I mean, this is just, I love that. It makes me want to check out the Barlow. I know there's a Wii Barlow. I think Wii does the Barlow, and I think somebody else does, but the Wii does the Barlow. Forget who the designer of that is. Maybe it's also Ostel Hell design. Maybe Ostap Hell. Maybe he's the one who does the Barlow. And it makes sense because it looks like the, yeah, I don't know. Sorry if that's a really dumb question for me to say, and every one of you guys who have all those knives and know the Barlow, and you go, yeah, sorry if I did that. And if not, then I do apologize. But hey, it makes me want to consider some other knives I hadn't considered before, just for this design alone. I really like that a lot. The Buzz does it too, only except his is more up front. The Devo knives, Kevin with left EDC. This is more in the back, and it works really nicely. I like that. I think the Enrique Pena X Series, I think the Raptor has a different type of flipper than the Trapper and all of his other ones, and it's more further back like this, and I don't know. I like this. I like this a lot. I think that's really cool. So the handle design with the deployment design is fantastic. For what you get here, it is phenomenal, right? Closing design, I like it. For a double detent, it's very nice. It closes real well. This is absolutely a one-handed knife. That's the thing I like about a double detent. It works really well as a one-handed knife. So I can use this all day long, and I think maybe that's the benefit of a double detent. You can close it, you know, you can open it like that, and then you can, you know, close it one-handed, and that's nice. So yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. Fidget factor. Well, you know, it's a top flipper, and it's a detent release. You know, you don't have to unlock it, lock it. You're not gonna be digging your finger in looking for any relief cut or any kind of chamfering or anything. It's this and it's that. So you can close, you know, open, close, open, close, open, close. And if I can do it just right, I bet I can just kind of make that just super, yeah, you just kind of make it, can I do it? I keep over closing it. But see, it's real easy to open and close, and I bet that's very fidgety. So as far as fidget factor, what would I give it? For what it does and the price point, I'm going to have to give this a 5 out of 10. As far as fidget ability, right? So what can it fidget? 5 out of 10, because you got a top flipper, and that top flipper works really nicely, right? And then you've got the double detent, and it closes very nicely, right? So I can close it really nice, and it closes really nice. Let's see if I can do that again. I was closing it before. I had it down, and now I'm doing too much. So see like that? Yeah, so there you go. So it closes and opens really nice. So I gotta say, for fidgety goodness, as far as the 5 out of 10 that it can fidget, it's 100%. It really is. I hate to say it, even though I don't like slip joints. I don't think I like double detent. Okay, all right. Let me rephrase that. I'm not a slip joint fan. But double detent, I don't hate as much. And it's kind of fun, okay? And I can see how that big splash with the Vero engineering, he did the double detent one. I can see how people could get caught up in that. And it might make me reconsider that. So I think it's kind of cool, all right? So I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think it's a knife that I might consider having in my collection. I don't know. They might have swayed me a little bit. It definitely is interesting. If I know someone who likes slip joints and I'm buying them a present and buying them a knife and they like slip joints and maybe maybe they'll be open to the double detent. I think I might consider this. I might consider it for myself, if I needed a knife somewhere where I couldn't have a locking knife. Because in some places it's weird. There's certain regulations and rules where you can't have a locking knife, right? Or a knife that deploys with a flipper. That's an actual law, and I think that in the European Union somewhere that's the case, right? So interesting. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm definitely going to tell you the deploying and close is nice, and the fidgety goodness on this one is definitely 100%. For what I can do, it's 100%. All right, overall thoughts. I think it's a really nice knife. As far as a double detent slip joint, yeah, it's nice. It's another one of those slip joints. I hate saying, I feel like I'm saying this more and more. You got the Jack Wolf knives, and those are making me change my whole thoughts on slip joints. And I'm sure the QSP, I think there's the QSP, oh, what do they call that one? Oh, I'm gonna remember. QSP has a little, is it Osprey? I don't know, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a little slip joint as well. That one looks really interesting. And then you got this thing, right? And of course, I've seen some of those customs by Javi Garcia and Ricky Pena, and man, I gotta tell you, those customs, those are, yeah, that'll make you reconsider, slip joints just alone there. But this right here is definitely making me reconsider. It's very fidgety, it's very fun. I like it. I like it for what it is. And to be honest with you, yeah, and that's why I always try to be as honest as I can. I like it. Is it going to be a recommended? For what it does as a double detent slip joint, yes, it's recommended. It's definitely going to be my recommended knives. Is it something that I might personally carry? Probably not, because I don't like slip joints. But if I was going to get a slip joint, this would be in my top list, up there with a Jack Wolf. Now, it'd have to be the right Jack Wolf design, because some of his designs they're pretty creative. Can we say that? Which is awesome. I love the creativity he has, but there's certain aesthetics that speak to me more than others. And so some of the Jack Wolf designs are going to be a little over the top for me, and that's okay, right? They don't have to be, I don't have to love every one of his designs, right? You can appreciate the designer and the designs without absolutely loving every design, right? I appreciate this. I do like this right here. This is definitely going to be in my repertoire of, if I'm buying a friend a slip joint, a double detent slip joint, I'm definitely keeping this. And possibly for myself, maybe getting one. Maybe there's a right variant or version of this that comes out. Maybe they make a Wii version, with a little nicer steel, premium steel, a little nicer material. I could see myself probably getting one of those, right? But, this is not bad. As far as Civivi has really done a great job. I'm going to recommend this. Think if you like this speaks to you, you like slip joints, you like double detents, I think this is a knife you ought to absolutely consider. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. All right, so if you found this interesting, this content fun, interesting, or worthwhile, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking my videos really helps out the channel a lot, allows me to produce more content, do more things, and bring you more stuff, right? So I really would appreciate that. If you've done all of that, maybe consider hitting this, the notification button down below. You can be notified of future content as soon as it's released. And if you've done all of that, maybe check me out over on, as soon as I get the card up here, Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.